Welcome everyone. I'm back with another video. My name is Bruno and today we're going to be covering the brand new Tilta cage for the Nikon ZR. It's really nice to have another manufacturer join in and make a cage for the ZR. We've had the Smallrig one, a couple of smaller manufacturers, but now it's time to put them head to head to see which one is going to be the best option for you. I'm also going to be sharing my first impressions with shooting this Tilta cage because pretty much from launch I've just been with the Smallrig cage and I've shot every single time with the camera with the Smallrig one. So having another option that in some ways is drastically different may change how I shoot altogether. So before I start, I just want to say a massive thank you to the Tilta team for sending this out early. You guys have been absolutely brilliant. And I like to think that a little bit of my feedback actually went into making this cage, and I'll explain more later on in the video. Now, just some general thoughts and feelings on both of these cages. Now, on the Smallrig one, what I really like about it is how they've done the grip. It feels nice, it's deep, it's made from rubber, and it has the same type of design as the camera itself. So it feels like an extension of the body rather than an accessory. To the untrained eye, they could look at this and think that it's actually part of the camera itself. Now, another feature that I really like about the Smallrig cage is how the camera is secured at 3 different points. Now, of course, you still have the standard tripod screw on the bottom, but you also have the 2 tabs that go into where the strap is supposed to go into. Now, you don't have to feed it through or do anything difficult. All you have to do is just screw them in on the side and then the camera will not have any wobble whatsoever. It's going to be rock solid, which is really, really nice to have, and it's a simpler design than what Smallrig have used in the past. Now, the rest of the cage is pretty uneventful, to be fair. It's just standard Smallrig. Now, you have all of the usual mounting points that you would expect. Bonus points for them including the mounting points on the side of the grip, actually, which is really nice. So you can mount the camera vertically if you want to, quite easily. You also have the cable clamp built into it, which you can remove, and it's standard Arca for tripods and mounts. What I really like that Tilta have done is the fact that they've gone with a completely different design to Smallrig. There's almost nothing that these two share in common, apart from maybe the cable clamp and the fact that it's Arca, but everything else on these cages are completely different, which is really nice because it gives us filmmakers even more options. So when it comes to the Tilta cage, what we have here is a cage that just feels really premium. I mean, all of the materials chosen by Tilta just feel really nice to the touch. All of the metals around, the wooden trim, even the screws that hold the HDMI and USB-C clamp just feel really nice and solid, like they won't break. Now, the grip design on the Tilta cage is completely different to what you find on the Smallrig. Now, the Smallrig is a lot larger and deeper, and it's made from rubber, which feels very, very similar to the camera as well, and I absolutely love that. And I feel like if you have larger hands, then you actually may feel more comfortable with the Smallrig one. However, if you have more average size hands like me, then the Tilta one is going to be plenty comfortable for the majority of people. And I actually appreciate that it has a smaller footprint. It just keeps the camera a little bit smaller altogether, and it just looks really, really nice with the wooden trim. Now, one of my biggest gripes with the current Smallrig cage is the fact that they have a piece of metal running between the photo video switch and the function buttons. And anytime that I want to use either of those functions, again, I have a big piece of metal in the way. Now, pressing function 2, for example, to go between user 1 and user 3, where I would need to press down that button and rotate the dial, is really cumbersome and difficult to do. So it's definitely something that I don't really enjoy on that cage. But on the Tilta one, they just decided to get rid of that part altogether and leave the area clear, which means I can press all of my buttons with no problem at all. So I really like that they've done this on the Tilta cage. Because Tilta have gone with this design of not having a metal piece running on the right-hand side, it does mean that we lose one point of connection between the camera and cage. So on the Smallrig one, you have 2 pins that go on the strap hooks at either side of the camera, and on the Tilta cage, you only have that on the left-hand side, but it doesn't seem to affect the camera at all. It feels just as solid as a Smallrig one. Probably the biggest reason for anyone wanting to buy the Tilta cage is the fact that it's modular. So with the Smallrig one, you have a full cage with all of your mounting points and the grip, but they also sell a L-shaped grip separately, which comes with just the grip and the bottom plate, and that's it. But that's a completely separate product. You have to buy that separately. Whereas with the Tilta one, you can actually unscrew half of it, or the cage part, and you're going to be left with just the grip and the bottom plate, which is absolutely fantastic. The downside of that is that you have to completely disassemble the cage and take the camera off to get to that point, because the screws are actually on the inside of the grip, which it's nice that you can do, but it can be a little bit of a pain to actually break down your camera to that level. The good news is that the Tilta cage is fully compatible with microphones such as the MED10 as well as Tascam's new XLR adapter. It doesn't get in the way and it works perfectly. Now the downside is that Smallrig actually created the perfect solution for Tascam's new XLR adapter, and that is the XLR handle from Smallrig, and it's a top handle designed to be used specifically with the Tascam XLR adapter, and it goes on top of the cage and actually curves around it to be able to give you a top handle whilst you've got the XLR adapter on the body, which is, I think, is really, really nice to have. Now, unfortunately, this doesn't actually fit the Tilta cage because the measurements that they use for the screws in both of these cages are actually millimeters different, which means they don't actually align correctly for you to be able to screw in the Smallrig handle to the Tilta cage. Now, one of the biggest complaints I have with all stills cameras and hybrid cameras and even some entry-level cinema cameras is the fact that they don't have locking mounts. Now, if you're using a cinema lens with a focus motor and you maybe add a little bit too much torque or you have to do a fast focus pull, then actually the lens moving around even a few millimeters can cause issues with your calibration throughout a day of shooting. And when you're busy trying to get the work done, you don't have time to be recalibrating the motors every single time. So that's something that absolutely does my head in with cinema cameras that don't have locking mounts. So for my Red Komodo, for example, I invested into a bright tangerine setup with a Kippertie revolver adapter. And the great thing about that combination is that I can screw in my bright tangerine cage into my Kippertie revolver adapter, and obviously the cage is screwed into the body, which means everything is tight, everything is screwed in together, and that is going to be the closest I'll get to a fully locking mount on my Red Komodo. Now, when it came time to start shooting with the Nikon ZR, I wanted to do something similar to what I have achieved with my Komodo, but with the ZR. And then I noticed that there was no room to do it with the Smallrig cage. So I actually approached Tilta with a little bit of feedback from my end, which was to actually add a way for you to screw into the cage and screw into the Kippertie revolver adapter. And I'm surprised that they've actually put that into this cage, which is awesome, which is exactly what I've been asking for. Now, I unfortunately don't have the Z mount version of the Kippertie Revolver Z to PL adapter with me to show you this, but I do have another video that goes into more detail about what that adapter is, and I'm going to leave that down in the description below. Now, the cool thing about this is that they've added in a chin strap, effectively, that screws into the camera and into the Kippertie adapter to stop all of those unwanted movements and vibrations, which is absolutely amazing. The great thing about it is that they've designed it to sit flush specifically with the Kippertie revolver adapter. Now, unfortunately, I don't have the Z mount version to show you, so I guess you're just gonna have to take my word for it. But it's something I definitely have been using with the Red Komodo for years, and it's a fantastic addition, which will definitely make me want to pick up this Tilta cage over a Smallrig, definitely for any jobs where I'm using cinema lenses. Essentially summarizing all of that, we have this little piece here that actually connects to the cage and will allow you to screw into the Kippertie revolver adapter, and they're made to sit flush with each other, which means you won't get any unwanted vibrations or movements, which is absolutely awesome. Now, in terms of my overall final thoughts on the ZR cage from Tilta, it's something that I really enjoy, and I'm definitely going to make it my primary cage going forward. I just wish that we had a solution for the Tascam XLR adapter, but what I'll do is I'll probably end up adapting and using some other accessories to make that work somehow, maybe using another plate or something like that. I'll figure it out and I'll let you know how I get on with that. But for now, I'll definitely make this my primary cage, but let me know down in the comments whether you prefer the Smallrig cage, the Tilta cage, or maybe you have another option that you've tested and you've really enjoyed using. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe because that really helps out the channel. And I'll see you next time.